Hi friends, it's Erin from EB Mix Media, and today I'm here to share with you my completed Junk Journal January journal. Junk Journal January happens every January, and it's a challenge sponsored by Meg Journals. And this year she did it in collaboration with Get Messy Art. And this was my first year participating in Junk Journal January. But I enjoyed it very much, and I'm very happy with the final results, so I thought I would share it with you today. So this is the completed journal, and I covered it with some felt that I just happened to have in my stash, and I had this faux fur stuff from, I think I made a pillow out of it one time. This lace is from a tank top of mine. This gorgeous brooch came out of a box of costume jewelry that belonged to my mother. And this little ribbon, or whatever you want, piece of fabric that's holding everything closed, is a slip of my mother's. So I was just feeling, it's very, very cold here in Maine this weekend, like negative numbers. And so feeling very cold, and the flannel, or felt rather, and the fur, all of it just said January to me and winter. And so I kind of like the idea of this cozy, warm looking cover. So that's the impetus behind that. So anyway, let's get started. So here's the interior. I just sort of painted the inside of this with coffee and some gesso and stuff. And here are all the prompts for the month. So we'll start with the first day, and the first day was resolutions, and I don't normally do resolutions. I have a word for the year. This year my word is enough, but I do have some goals. And my first is to declutter our house and to really take some time and get rid of stuff and go room by room, and just really sort and donate and just determine, there's just too much in this house. We need to get rid of some of it. I also like to have a family vacation. My boys are now 18 and 21. There's a lot of change going on. One's headed off to college. And so it just feels like it's the end of an era, so to speak. So I think one more family vacation before everyone goes on their merry way. And then my dad is 92, and he's not doing that well in Illinois. And I'm helping care for him. I'm not caring for him on a day-to-day basis, but I am his healthcare power of attorney and visiting regularly and staying up on top of things. We couldn't get him to move out here to be with us. He wanted to be where he grew up, and so that's where he is. He's in a great facility there. But I just want him to be well cared for, and so I'm overseeing that. So those are my resolutions, I guess, for the year. The next prompt was starry, and this was a background I did. It's just a piece of paper that I glued down on there, and I had taken a really ugly gel print and tried to improve it. I'm not sure I did, but anyway, this reminded me of stars. And I had this little moon and put the little boy on the moon. Let us watch the sky, it says. The next day was stained, and so I used coffee to stain. I set a coffee mug on here and just sort of stained up some papers and stained up some fabric to get this. And the sentiment says, we talked about desire and being jealous, our conversation a loose single gown. And I just thought that was a great sentence, so I clipped that out. I love found words. And then this one says, from sunrise till the shadows grew. The next is decorated tag, and this was a cluster that I made. I did a little video on my YouTube channel of making these collage clusters, so I took one of those clusters, sort of painted onto a tag, stenciled onto a tag, and stuck the tag in here. I also got a 2-inch punch for Christmas, and I was all excited to use it, so I was punching out a lot of things. So I got this circle punch and did that on that page. And then that left me with this weird circle sticking out here. And this prompt was routine. And so when I'm thinking about my daily routine, the very, very first thing I do when I go out of bed is make a cup of coffee. So this reminded me of a coffee cup from looking down, and just added that. And this is, we order Taste Coffee. It's a K-Cup, but it's compostable, so we get that in the mail, and we always get these cute little cards with it, with little sayings about coffee, so that's where that came from. What was next? Stitched was next. So I did some slow stitching around these paint swatches that I had made and had in my stash, and I stitched this flower on here, and I stitched this trim along the side, and just sort of threw everything at this page, and it kind of turned out super fun and bright. There's a piece of palette paper here from a previous project that I made, so I started with those colors on that palette paper, and that prompted the whole thing. This was just sort of a throwaway page because it was right here, and it sort of matches, but not really, but that just didn't really have a prompt. That was me just making that page look nice there. And then this was Shimmer, day 7, and so I had this gold paper and just sort of used a lot of gold accents and made another tag. I was really into these tags. This tag, the background on the tag was a master sheet that I cut with paper scraps. I cut that out. This is more of that slip. But leave a little sparkle wherever you go, that says. That was Shimmer. 8 was Blossom, and I thought it was Bloom, and I wrote Bloom, and it wasn't until I went to post it on Instagram and saw everyone else's that I realized the prompt was Blossom, but that's okay. It worked out, so I thought these turned out really cute. I love, and I'm really digging this color palette these days. Hidden was the next one. So I was trying to think of how to do something hidden and folding and origami. It just so happened that the page in here was a little paper bag. So I made a little card and followed a YouTube tutorial on making this card, and I talked about a hidden treasure on there. And this little flap pops out. It says, "You will find it. Listen to your heart. It will show you the way." So I thought that was a cute little exercise in creating like a pop-up card. It's like it's hidden in there, and then this is hidden in here. So that was fun. The next one was Intricate. So I chose some intricate papers here. I've got a map that's very detailed and intricate. This is a security envelope that has an amazingly intricate design. This was an intricate piece of painted paper that was gifted to me, as was this one with an intricate design. And then this bird stamp I made, and it was pretty intricate to carve. So that was my thinking behind, for the prompt, was intricate. Use your wings, it says, to go with the bird. Next we had pocket. So I created a pocket. This was supposed to be in here. Created a pocket out of a security envelope, decorated the page, and then another tag that was from some master sheet. It says, "You are enough," and some of my little painted paper posies there. I've got some videos on Instagram on how to make those. They're really cute and fun to make. Throwback was the next one, and this was a photo of my grandparents. It was on some anniversary, 25th maybe, or 50th, I don't know, 25th I think. And I used a real pretty napkin and found these found words. "I will always remember their fondness for each other." My grandparents really did care for each other, and it showed. It showed in their interactions together. So that came together pretty easily. Hobbies. I love to garden. So in addition to art journaling, I do like to garden. So I put together a garden and wrote, "Start doing things you love." So these are just some flowers, and I use stamps on the background to make those flowers, watercolored, some gesso. This one was from the day, and I was traveling at the time. I missed several days because I was traveling, but when I came back, I looked back to see what I was doing on January 14th, and I was with my dad, and we took a drive in the country, and this is my dad when he was a little boy on the farm where he grew up in Illinois, and this is a piece of paper from an engineering book that was his. He went on to study engineering. And this receipt here is from the McCormick Oil Company, which was the petroleum company that my mother's parents, I say petroleum company, it was a gas station. And they ran the gas station, and they lived in the back of the gas station. So it's not like they were oil barons. They lived in the back of the gas station. So that's from my mom's parents' gas station receipt. So, and I just journaled about the drive and how we spent the day and it's just sad as you watch your parents age. We lost my mom last year, and it's just a sad time. And the found words say, his eyes were bright, thinking of earlier years, very fragile remnants, beautiful and bittersweet. His memory's going, but he really does remember those early days, and he gave me directions. He knew exactly where he was the whole time we were driving down country roads, and so it was a lovely day, and this is a nice memory of that day. What's next? Barcode. So I've had this massive barcode. I don't know where I got it. Looks like it's off of a box or something. I've had that in my stash forever, so I was happy to use it. This is a stencil I picked up at Walmart. No, a dollar store. One of the dollar stores in Illinois when I went in there to get something. And a little sentiment says, creativity takes courage. What's next? Folded. So this one I add a fold in the page, and I need to glue that down better, it looks like, but I used some little puzzle pieces, and it says, it's always the small pieces that make the big picture. And then here it says, have an open heart. I love these colors. This is just my new favorite color palette. Okay, the next day was, let's see, top 5. So I was thinking of my top 5 favorite flowers, and I've got a peony, coneflowers, daisies, hydrangea, and lilacs. And so I just drew a vase of flowers, my top 5 favorite flowers. The next one was maps, and I assure you there are some maps under here. There's a map over here. This is a map on a tag. There's some maps here. I believe this might be a map. So I just got a little heavy-handed with my paint, but there were maps under it. The sentiment said, it is a long road and the rumors of travelers have a way of wandering. And I loved that quote, that sentence. I thought it was great. And I've been waiting to use it for something. So with maps, it sort of made sense. Okay. Hand lettered. So here's just a fun quote, and I used a collage cluster again. I had made collage clusters on a video that's on my YouTube channel. And so I used one here and put down reminder, you can do anything, but not everything. We have to make sure we're aware of our limitations and that we don't overdo and be aware of that. We don't have to do everything. We don't have to. So good reminder for me, for sure. The next one was texture, and so I used texture paste to get some texture on this page, and then this was a piece of deli paper, so when I glued it down, it wrinkled a bit and left its own texture as well. I've got fabric, a tea bag, and some burlap for even more texture, and the sentiment says the beauty of the day. It was fun working in this journal with the different size papers and trying to make them work together. That was kind of a fun challenge. Next is experimental, and so for this one I have a white China marker in my stash, and I had always thought it'd be fun to use it as a resist, and I did, and I drew the flowers out with the China marker, and it worked pretty well. I think I kept going over it too much and eventually sort of covered it up, but it was a good experiment. And then over here I had written something thinking that it would act as a resist, but you couldn't read it. So I found this quote, you can only do your best, that's all you can do, and if it isn't good enough, it isn't good enough. And again, that's, and this is a boarding pass for, I think, a trip to Iceland. But I liked that quote, enough is my word for the year. And what I've read other quotes that say, if it isn't good enough, it's still good. So I like that one as well. That was experiment. This one was old and new, and I kind of struggled with this because I feel like I'm always using old and new things mixed together. So I used some old book pages, and these were old painted papers that I had in my stash. I used an old cookie cutter to cut them out into flowers, and then these are brand new security envelopes that had come in the mail that I used as the center of the flowers. So I liked how this one turned out. I thought it was really cute. Stickers. So this is from my Happy Planner. I pulled out all my Happy Planner stickers. I like to use Happy Planner. I've used it for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years now. I feel like it was sort of the gateway drug into art journaling. So that's what I used here with the stickers. Empowered women empower women. So lots of stickers there mixed with painted papers. Scenery. This is a photo my husband took of a trail here near our home. And so I incorporated that into the page. And the sentiment says, across the light snow, withered leaves about your feet, a little clump of trees. And that sentiment just seemed to fit in with this clump of trees on the trail. So I liked how that turned out. I love using his photographs in my work. Next was one color. So for this, I used instant coffee and just kept gesso. I used gesso to get different variations on that and just kept kind of layering it on to get a stronger and stronger color, letting it dry, adding more. And I found this quote, out of limitation comes creativity. So I thought limiting yourself to one color sort of forced you to think outside the box and get really creative. So it's a very simple page, but liked how it turned out. The next one was wordy, and this I used a technique that Tiffany Goff Smith, is that right, of the Ugly Art Club, had done a demo for us, and so I used a lot of those techniques using water, and I just pulled out every stencil I had that was words or writing. I looked for pages that had writing on them. This is a Chipotle bag that was covered in writing. This is an old vehicle registration form of my grandfather's. This was a tag I made as part of that with using that technique that Tiffany shared, and then I did the whole page that way as well. So all these words everywhere, and then I found this little sentiment that said there seemed no more to say, which I thought was perfect for the page. And this is a produce bag. I love these when you can get them in good colors. I don't know what was in this one, but it makes a great ribbon for a tag. Ribbon's not the right word, but you know what I mean. Earth tones was the next one, and we've been working with pastels in Wanderlust, and so I have a lot of new pastels in these earthy tones, so I enjoy playing with the soft pastels and adding some stamps on here. Always be on the lookout for the pretense of wonder. I thought that said presence, so I don't know if I really understand this quote, and I'm not sure it's not a spelling error because pretense is sort of the appearance, but not necessarily, you know, kind of the false appearance. So I'm not sure exactly what that quote means, but I thought it said presence when I put it on there. All right, too busy, working too quickly, not paying attention, not being present, not being mindful. That's me. All right, the next page was antique. For this one, I used some antique papers. So I have under here is a voter registration card that was my grandfather's. This is his vehicle registration card. We saw a bit of it earlier. This is an old prescription that was gifted to me by Casey at Express Your Arty Soul. And this again is from my mother's slip. So lots of antique papers on this page. It says a record of the past. This one was, what was this one? Musical. So I had some lovely sheet music that was gifted to me by Nadine Astor, and I used florals that we created during Wanderlust as part of Arlena's Wanderlust lesson, week 4. The music of my heart sweetly singing. This one was unexpected, and I was trying to think of what's unexpected, and I think the color red is kind of unexpected for me. I don't use red a lot, so I started with the color red and went from there. And then I tried to pull some kind of things out of my stash that I thought were sort of unexpected. This is a Velcro, it says Velcro brand label, which is just a little weird. Again, a produce bag. This is a playing card from some sort of board game that was gifted to me in Happy Mail. And then I have some bread tags, plastic bread tags, which I love to use in my art. And I think they are unexpected because, you know, what's up with the bread tag? It's just a weird thing, but I think they're really kind of funky. And it's keeping plastic out of landfills. So it's too bad we use them in America. I know a lot of other countries use paper tags. That can, or cardboard that can be recycled, but we're using the plastic, so I'm trying to recycle them in my artwork. And this says, trust your crazy ideas. So, so it might seem crazy to use bread tags in your art, but I'm doing it anyway, and I think the page turned out fun and vibrant. And then finally it was close, and I guess I didn't really understand the prompt. I was thinking closing out the month, but a lot of people took it literally, like made a page that closed or had an element that closed. I didn't really think of that. I was more thinking about closing thoughts or parting thoughts. And I had this great page of palette paper left over from one of the previous lessons, because I really did use that color palette quite a bit in this journal, as you can see. And I just thought this was so pretty with all of the texture, and we're headed into February with Valentine's Day. So I just cut out a heart. I used some coffee on the page, and I just thought, you know, I don't know what's coming. It's a very transitional year here for me with my father and my sons, you know, heading off into the world to start their own lives. And so I just found these words: be open to whatever comes next. And that's really all we can do. So that's what I'm trying to do, is just take each day as it comes and be open. And that concludes my January junk journal, January journal. So really happy with how it turned out. Really enjoyed the month, and thought the prompts were really fun, and I had fun with this journal that I made, and I hope you enjoyed it too. So I'll look forward to seeing you back here again soon. I hope you all have a great day. You can also find me on Instagram at EB Mixed Media. It's EB_Mixed Media. Thanks, everybody. Bye.